Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the Mastering Retention Podcast. Today, I am delighted to have Chris Hong on with us. We're talking about kind of all things LiveOps and tools and automation of LiveOps and stuff, which is, as the founder of UserWise, something that is very near and dear to my heart. So I'm super excited for this episode. Chris, you've been doing this for a really long time. At a handful of different companies and stuff. But before we dive into everything, I always like to ask, what's your story? Like, how did you end up in Helsinki at Metacore working in games?
Okay, hello. Yeah, thank you very much for having me in this awesome podcast. And actually, I listened several episodes and I found out it's really useful. It's very great to share and understand how the others are doing. So yeah, I think it's really not really cool. So yeah, anyway, let's go back to the question. It's like, uh, my story is like I honestly never expect to be in the game industry
Me too.
at
Me
any
too.
point. It's like it was really accident. I learned the programming quite when I was quite young, but it was 1980s, so I didn't know there was the job of programming or job of game development. So it's like I never expected. And yeah, even when I was at university, actually, I was doing some tuition teaching the high school students, and that was quite a common quite popular in Korea for the university students to make pocket money. And yeah, I was also doing that, but somehow I got fired. There's a long story about that, but yeah, let's skip that. So anyway, I got fired and I wanted to make money for my own the pocket money. And then yeah, just I was playing some online text-based mud games during that days. And yeah, one day I just noticed they were looking for some people to help them. Yeah, it was not actually the programming position, but it was a kind of just scripting the game and just helping out the developers to make everything work a bit smoother in the development. And yeah, just I thought it could be cool because it's like I was not doing anything besides going to school and come back home. And it was quite boring days. And yeah, I thought like let's just try. It's like it's game, so it could
Yeah.
be fun or something like that. And so yeah, I went to the company and I asked them, yeah, I'm a still university student. Are you still okay? Then yeah, just everything happened. Yeah, I worked there for almost a year, and yeah, suddenly I found out it's quite fun. Yeah, it was starting just from fun because the money was really small, and
Yeah.
it was not enough for even for my lunchtime. Some fun, but yeah, it was okay. And then just a year later, I came out the company and I found out some of my friends also have some interesting in the game development. And yeah, we thought like, okay, this can be something. And actually at that moment we didn't expect to be in the game industry, but it's like because there was not many game companies in Korea during the early 1990s. And just like we just accidentally agreed to start the studio. So it was just one day. It's like a suddenly, yeah, just during the chit chat. And yeah, what about we can do by ourselves? It's like yeah, we don't need to talk to anyone. Yeah, it's like we don't need to rely to someone else. Maybe we can do it. And yeah,
Yeah.
we just did it. No, I
It's
don't.
amazing.
Yeah, it's like I also cannot remember the details of what happened. It took quite a long time because these days, isn't it? Like when you open the company, you register the company, you just go into the website and you can do something. But during that day, everything was on the paper, and you need to run to the some off different offices, and especially the Eastern countries, it's like if you are just only 20 and if you go to the office, the public office, and yeah, ask, okay, I'm going to open the company, then everyone was looking like, hey, who are you? What are you going to do? Yeah, don't cheat it. It's not just school work, or it's this is not a just playground. So yeah, go back home. And yeah, I actually heard a lot of times of that. And yeah, but yeah, somehow at the end, yeah, I run that company for almost 10 years. Yeah,
Wow.
and that was the beginning. And after that, I don't know, it's like there was no chance to run away from this game development. And yeah, somehow almost 30 years, I'm still here.
That's incredible. What
Yeah.
kind of games did you guys make at your studio?
The first game was the very simple multiplayer shooting games. It was there was some tanks, some vehicles on the ground, and they shoot each other. I think maybe you can image like a wall of tanks,
Yeah.
but the difference is wall of tanks is 3D, but
Hmm.
my game was just 2D, yeah, top-down view, and yeah, it was quite simple, but it was quite fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember, back in the days, we had this computer class in like high school, junior high, where once you got done with your like typing and learning and stuff, then you got to go play the flash games and stuff. And yeah, there were some fun 2D tank games that I played that were, pretty awesome. That's great. Yeah. And then you kind of continue doing that at a lot of different places for yeah, almost 30 years. That's incredible. You might be my most experienced guest that I've had on here. So
Oh, really?
that's
That means
exciting.
I'm the most old, elder people. Yeah.
We use the word experience as I start to get older.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. 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 And yeah, I know it's like the age is not everything is like the yeah. Even from your another episode, I learned quite a lot from the others. It's like because everyone has a different experience. Yeah, even these days, I'm still working on the backend development, but it's like I think it's getting more and more complicated and wider. You need to
Mhm.
know and understand, and yeah, it's getting more yeah, difficult to keep your sense in your track with your career. So yeah, I think the sometimes aging is not quite the big topic. Mostly is like how much YouTube you watched, or how many pages of the tutorials from the Amazon or Google you read. I think that's more getting more important these days.
Well, one of my buddies asked me like, Tom, like, how do you know so much about these things? And I said, well, unlike you've been working on this game for like 5 years running it, and you're killing it and stuff, right? But I get to talk to all these amazing people in all these different genres and all these different studios like every single week, and I get to ask them any question. Really, I'm like the best person for the podcast, because I learned so much just getting to like talk and ask all these questions and stuff. So it's really awesome. So yeah, I think there's so many different things, and I think it's kind of like an ever expanding amount of knowledge. Like it's hard even within a single studio to kind of gain all the knowledge, let alone, the industry as a whole. So yeah, I'm super excited to share some knowledge and stuff. On that note, should we dive into some things live ops?
Sure, good.
Awesome. So one thing that you've kind of talked about a little bit is this idea. Well, okay, before we get there, live ops. What does that actually mean to you, Chris?
For me, the live ops, because I'm more close to the technology side, not the service itself, but the live ops for me is like just trying to keep our service as live stage, but it's not only life or death. It's like a more like we are trying to satisfy the customers more with the better quality of the service. So yeah, we are providing the games, but isn't it like everyone knows the game, everyone has a lot of different types of game, and but it's like if you want to keep the customers, the player, we some people say players, but I want to say customer because the game is not only the game these days. As you know, we consume some kind of a culture and our own effort with the games, and sometimes we do something more with the rules beside the rules of the games, something like that. So yeah, peoples are doing a lot of things around the service, and yeah, keeping up the service to run together with the players. That I think that's kind of a live ops.
Yeah. Yeah. Be curious. I always like to think of it as, just games being such a hit driven business. It's almost easier and more cost effective to maximize the value of your hit, by continually delivering new experiences and content to the players that really love that game, so that hopefully they keep coming back to the game for a longer period of time. And hopefully when they come back, they're actually doing some sort of monetization activities so that covers the cost of creating that content and such. So to my first question, which I diverted from, you've talked about this idea of automated live ops, and I'm really curious, what does that actually mean?
Actually is okay. This automation is not 100% automated automation. Is kind of a half a way. It's like how we can reduce the human effort and human mistakes, and how we can try to make the best productivities of the live service. Yeah, so it's like the automating is it's not going to automate the actual operations of all the live ops related, but it's more like it is going to give some kind of support and assistance to the people who run the live ops.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's like an example. It's like the automated vehicles. Yeah, autopilot system is yeah, we are expecting the full automated autopilot for the vehicles, but actually we are not there yet. And yeah, still personally I'm a bit afraid on that because yeah, it's like I want to control by myself. I think that's quite a nature of the human. So even the live ops, yes, the people want to control by themselves, but this automation is going to support and help the people to work in a better productivity, in a better way, or try to reduce the risk, or try to bring it out what can be mistake from the people, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you kind of mentioned in the live ops, there are a lot of human effort or efforts that kind of go into those. What are some of those kind of efforts? Like, what do people actually have to do to be able to operate, your game as a service?
I think the most thing is to bring it more contents into the game, and try to upgrade your game system to satisfy the people who already know how to play the game. Probably we can bring it in some kind of surprisings, or yeah, maybe new contents, new items, new quests, and yeah, new things into the game. Yes. Yeah, so quite a lot of people are working on that, and also it's like isn't it like there's a if there is some bugs, or if there is something we need to update, yes, we also trying to yeah, work on that, some technical side of yeah, technical, perspective of the system also.
Yeah. So, of those different, things I hear, maybe like client updates for new features, maybe offers, time limited events, in-game messages, whether you're sending something to the mailbox to let players know, hey, this thing's going on or whatnot. Lots of things that could go on. Where are some potential spots that errors could happen? Like, do you have any examples of an error that you've seen happen in the past?
Yes, I also made one big mistake last time. It's like, isn't it? It's like when we run the game service, usually these days it's not for some specific country or area, and it's mostly for the global service. And yeah, one big example was like a mistake, mistyping of the time. It's like okay, just it was very simple. It's like okay, I wanted to start the event from some specific time, but yeah, I miscalculate the time difference, and then yeah, I mistake to put in some wrong numbers, and suddenly yeah, the event started 2 hours earlier than expected.
Mm.
Yeah,
Have
so that
you
kind of a very small, yeah, the mistake can be happen anytime.
Yeah. Have you been able to fix and prevent, an error like that, or is changing the time something that you can't really prevent?
uh, I don't know. I think it's more depending on the how we want to lead the players to enjoy the game. That kind of a mistake, I think. I don't know. I haven't decided that days, but it's like yeah, I suggest to keep that just and then change the message like okay, the 2 hours earlier was surprising to the players, something like that. So yeah, but anyway, it's like yeah, we can fix or we can change the yeah all everything in the game, but sometimes it's like if something is going on or if something is already live, it will be very difficult to yeah roll back or yeah go back to the previous stage,
Yeah.
and I think it's not a good idea for the players because they already know, they already found out. Yeah, so I think the more important thing is we have to keep our humors and some kind of a nice wording to yeah make it beautiful what we even made a mistake.
Yeah, I guess I was more thinking in the future. So, funnily enough, we actually had one of the studios that uses the UserWise LiveOps management platform have actually a similar error where we allow you to schedule things either in player local time or in UTC time. And so initially it was just one of those two. And so they picked UTC, but they scheduled it and they forgot that we'd had daylight savings time, and so it started like an hour early. So now what we've done is when you schedule in UTC, we give you an additional field where you can actually pick the times to schedule in. So for me, I would schedule in CST because I know that I want it to begin actually at 5 p.m. Central. And then when we save it on the server, we actually just save it as UTC and do that conversion for you. So trying to eliminate that potential human error of calculating the time zone difference wrong. Is that kind of a good example of how you might have an error happen? Now we can kind of streamline this to hopefully reduce that error in the future.
Yeah, I think that's a really good and if there is a more better UI or some kind of a explanation on the visual yeah explanation, then I think that will be also a good idea. Like an example, when you try to create some kind of a meeting in some Google Calendar or yeah Outlook calendar, yeah you can see yeah all some
Conflicts.
options
Yep.
yeah to check okay what is the local time for the different areas, the different countries or something like that. And yeah if you can make it clear to show up to the player or user, and then I think that's the most best.
Yeah. Cool. So, it sounds super interesting. What kind of LiveOps tech, like, we have a lot of game studios of different sizes and different stages and stuff. For, maybe some of our newer folks, or, folks that haven't necessarily worked at really big companies that maybe have stuff in-house, this idea of LiveOps probably sounds pretty cool. They've heard it talked about a lot, but what sort of tech would I actually need to be able to support this idea of LiveOps? Like, is it as simple as I hard coded in my client like a month before and I just like have it timed out in there? Or, is there something different, or are there like in between stages? What would you need at like a minimal amount to be able to do LiveOps?
Okay, very tough question. Because all the studio has their own tech base or tech experience. So I think there's no single structure or stack for the tech LiveOps tech, at especially these days. Yeah, 20-30 years ago when I was starting my first game, yeah, everything was quite easy. Yeah, during that day. Yeah, because there was no cloud, there was no Linux at the beginning, I remember. Yeah, there was no Windows. Yeah, so something like that. But these days, yes, there's a lot of different tech, but I think just if you know popular program languages and the techs, what you can run the services, then I think that's quite enough. Yes.
Yeah. Well, maybe reframing the question a little bit, like what sort of features or things, would I need to be able to do those? So like what sort of services, I guess, are you talking about?
Uh, okay. For the LiveOps, I think there's a quite LiveOps itself is quite broad wide, and there's a lot of things are already there. So it's not easy to say with one single word, but from my view, there's are several different areas of the LiveOps. Like one is the game backend. So is going to run some feature of the games. It will interact with the game itself to make the player to play the actual games.
Hmm.
That area is, I think, yeah, we cannot define in one single technology because all the company has their own tech base.
Yeah.
Here in Finland, the Supercell and Rovio and the other studios, yeah, even in Metacore here, we have our own different architecture and systems. So it's very different. But if we go to the service area, there's a service backend. Is like example, when you are doing your online internet banking service, then yeah, they need some kind of a system to run behind the screen, is it? And yeah, that kind of a service. There's a lot of different services, and these days, I think it's mostly quite close to the cloud and infrastructure what we have. Example like Amazon and Google. If you are running the services on some specific cloud service, then I guess you may use the technology, quite a lot of technology from the cloud service provider. So yeah, you have to find out what will be the best fit for the infrastructure. Yeah, if we move into the front end, like tools and something what we can actually monitor the game, where we can see what's going on. Yeah, there's a lot of different types of tools, and these tools are mostly these days implementing in the website, in the web
Mm-hmm.
browser. So yeah, there's several technology for the web programming, yeah, like a
Yep.
JavaScript, or yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and even these days there's our the new WebAssembly programming languages are coming out. So yeah, maybe you can think about that. And also there's our very new coming out, like the very big data pipeline to find out. It's sometimes I feel like this data pipeline is more like trying to spy the players. Yeah, it's like what do you have doing? But anyway, yeah, the data pipeline, or sometimes we need actual AI system. Yeah, there's a lot of different types of AIs, and yeah, maybe we don't need to go very far, like some very deep learning, or machine learning, something like that. But yeah, at least there's our different types of the AI systems what we can try to implement in. And yeah, also there's our isn't like the testing is also quite important. There's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of different types of testing tools and testing platforms, and even the testing, there's a load testing, there's a functional testing, yeah, there's a unit testing, yeah, different types of testing. So that's also another area we need to have. So it's like LiveOps is, I think, is kind of a showing up on the stage to the audience. But if you go behind the scene screen, then yeah, there's a lot of different things we need to do it. And sometimes we don't need everything. It's like if you are running very small, hyper casual mobile game, then probably you don't need to understand all the details of the player data pipeline. Yeah, just because the game is too easy, and then yeah, the data pipeline could be very simple, or you don't need an AI system on that. But still, yeah, you may need some different types of the backend to help the live ops.
Yeah. Would you say you need a game server to actually be able to do live ops, or could you do it with just like a client side only game?
Oh, are you talking about the hardware or the software of the game server? Because some people use different terms of
Well,
yeah.
I'm thinking like, let's say I made a Unity game and everything's just kind of, coded into it. There's no server connection for logging in. Maybe it's like an idle game or something like that, and it just stores my values on the device itself. Could I actually do live ops in that game, or would I need to actually have a server and everything, communicating back and forth? I know some
Ah,
studios that are doing that and they don't have servers because it's going to add so much cost and they're already, pretty slim margins or whatnot.
yeah. If you have a servers and the backend, then it will be much more easier to have the live ops. But even without the servers and yeah, your backend, then yeah, I think you still can do it. Like example, if you need to update something, you still can, yeah, yeah, the up, yeah, spread out with the next patch or something like that. And the live ops, from my view, the live ops is not actually the what's that kind of a simultaneous time operation. It's like it
Mm,
doesn't have to be like that. It's like if isn't it's like a if we are aiming to keep the retention of the game, or
mm-hmm.
if we want the player to spread out our brand to the other people, then yeah, we still can try something with the game client only, without the server, I think.
Cool. That's awesome. So you looping back just a little bit. So you were kind of talking about data a lot and big data and stuff. Um, in your opinion, how does or maybe should data play into live ops? Like, how should it be recorded, and how can that actually be used? I've seen a lot of companies that maybe they talk about data a lot and they record a ton of data, but it doesn't seem like it's ever actually used. So like, what is the ideal of like what things should you record, and then how can you actually use those to improve the gameplay experience?
Mm, yeah, I'm okay. First of all, I'm not the data science, so I don't really know how to analyze the data. But at least because mostly my work is more close to how to sample. What's that kind of sampling the data? Yeah, something like that. Get collect and sampling the data to help the data analyzer to found out what they are interested in. But it's like what I think this is just my own hypothesis. So maybe not all the people can agree on this, but it's like I love to find out some rich things, very different kind of sparks in the data or some empty empty spots in the data or something like that. Because it could be an error from the data system, or it could be another chance for the live service. Isn't it like let's say you have your game is doing some event, and the people's enjoy that, but not everyone. Yeah. And then you had some data, okay, how they played it, how they what is the progress, when how long they played it or something like that. And we let's say you found out, okay, there's some empty spot. Some these peoples never played this, or there's our the gameplay between this and this is something looks like empty, or everyone just played all of this event only or something like that. It's like if there is some kind of a weird output, then I think it can be a very good point for your live ops. If you want to keep your live service as usual, to just go, then maybe you can follow your normal data, just average with everything. But isn't it like these days everything is quite highly competitive, and it's like everyone's all the games are fighting each other. There's only the fixed number of people over the world, so we need to we need to fight over the other game to bring customers into our game. So
Yeah.
so if you find out some very funny data, then I think that can be good start point to make your game a bit different from the others.
That's great. Cool. Okay, I want to shift gears a little bit because I have you here and I have lots of questions. I want to talk a little bit about multiplayer tech. So, my background, I'm a pretty competitive player. I enjoy playing with friends. I've never really been into completely single player games per se. So multiplayer has always kind of fascinated me. Let's say I'm maybe like a newer studio or a studio that is starting to look to want to maybe add some competitive or social aspects to the game or whatnot. Let's pretend I've decided that I'm going to launch a 2D tank game where the players can play with each other. What sort of tech would I need to be able to do that? What sort of services? Like if you were going to build that from scratch, like what would your process be to get that up and running?
Okay, just only in the tech side. Yeah, the game itself, need to have is this like need to have some kind of a the services and the system to apply the people's what can I say for this? Actually, I think yeah, you asked the question, but I think I have a bit different view on this. I mean,
Mm.
yeah, maybe this is not your not the correct answer for your question, but let's try to tweak the question like this. Is like then what we really need to prepare for the back, what we really need to uh prepare ourselves to start to implement the services, backend services, something like that. And if the question is like that, I think we have to think about our own strategy and plan of the service design. I talked quite a lot of times of service design. These days I'm very keen into talking about this, and yeah, service design is very important because it's not technology. It's not not it doesn't involve any technology or technical side of view or something like that. Is the service design is more to bring the people into our it's like how can we make our service to align with our objective of our business. Yeah, so let's say like that. And it's like a service design. If your service design is asking you to let's say example, if your game want to be top in your uh, top in your own genre of your multiplayer,
Mhm.
then yeah, you have to think about okay, what we need to bring it into the game. Yeah, but it's like not all the games are aiming only the number one, isn't it? It's like maybe we can just, for example, if your game is more like a pilot project, or if your game is more to be kind of some another supporting another different games or some different objective. So example, mm, yeah, this is quite tough, but yeah, example, if your strategy is to just be close with your customers, actually, okay, I think I can give you an example from my experience. It's like it was early 2000, and there was a one MMORPG I was making on it. As you know, the MMORPG is quite difficult and quite a lot of the effort to make and service. But yeah, it was yes, it was quite difficult for me too. And we found out, okay, the players were a bit unsatisfied with our progress because the patch and the update was not that often, and it was not that fast enough because my team was a small team. So we thought like, okay, then how we can give the player a bit more mm, spend their interest and time in the game without patching all without updating all the contents of the game. So we made a very small kind of a fighting arena in the game. So we just let them, yeah, there was no rule. It's like we just made a small box and let the player to just fight there. And yeah, suddenly after a few months, yeah, we found out, okay, players are only playing the game there. We made a big word. We made a
Yeah.
big word, and there was a quest. There was a lot of event, but it's like the people was making more fun and just fighting each other. It's, hey,
Yeah.
what's going on? And yeah, actually, that the why we made that small game mode in the in our RPG was just to keep players to do something. It's like we
Yeah.
didn't want to lose the players, and that was the objective. Yes, so we provided, but somehow, yeah, at the end, yeah, people felt like a more interest in the fighting each other, and then
Yeah.
we just bring it out that mode, and we made a game, and actually that became much more bigger than the original game. So it's like so okay, maybe I went too far from your question, but it's like I think yes, the main point of the live ops is to start from the service design, what we really want to have. Isn't it like that small game mode? We achieved what we wanted at the beginning. We didn't want that. We didn't expect more revenues or more players to come in to the game. We just only wanted the player to enjoy themselves there.
Yeah.
And yes, that was too much, but yeah, anyway, we achieved our objective, and yeah, we just focus on the fighting. Yeah, we didn't provide anything else. Yeah, we just let them to have a free fight, and yeah, it worked. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that a lot. Cool. Well, I know we're almost out of time here, but I have one more unofficial question because we are on the Master Retention podcast, I should say. I can speak, right? And that is, what's one tip or trick you've kind of learned over the years to increase retention? Like, how do you keep players playing your games for longer?
Okay, I think this one is also quite tricky for me too, honestly. Yeah, because most of my game didn't ran that long time. But at least what I know is it's like you really have to understand your players. I mean, uh is this like even there is a similar game, but uh, the player maybe not really same between the different games. It's like an
Mm,
example. If is this like a we know there's a lot of FPS games on the market, and yeah, it looks like just gun shooting. Yeah, but actually there's our the people who love this game, who doesn't love this game, something like that. And I think the most important point is you need to understand, okay, what is the actual trigger point for the players? And then you have to develop that. You try to bring it into a better stage, continue that, and yeah, improve what you have. So yeah, is I think that's the most important. And also you have to think about, okay, how you are going to keep your core players. It's like just a month ago I was talking with one very new young people, young studio. They just started the game development,
yep.
and they are making the small puzzle game.
Yep.
And actually, they asked me the quite similar question, like where we need to go, something like that. And yeah, it's like don't try to think where you want to go or need to go. It's like try to think, okay, who you want to bring it into your game. Yeah.
Mm,
So there's a 2 point. Yeah, you have to bring the right person into your game. Yeah, but at the beginning, you have to spread out to anyone, because isn't it like there's are millions of billions of people on the earth, and it's very difficult to reach out the uh, the people who love your games. So at the beginning, try to bring anyone, but you have to filter out, the people who you really want to keep it keep in your service. So at the beginning, probably your data will say, like, example, if you want to bring the players who let's say love flowers,
Yep.
who love flowers, age 30 ladies, but we cannot just pinpoint them. So try to bring everyone. And then sometimes, isn't it, at the beginning, probably there will be more teenagers. And probably you didn't expect the teenagers to enjoy the game. But you have to think like that. Is like, okay, did I misunderstood my game by myself? If it was more suitable for the teenagers, or do I really want to keep my concept of the game to try to appeal to the ladies of age 30s, something like that. Then you have to. So it's like your data. There is a data, but you have to think about, okay, how we can bring the people, how we can keep the people from those datas. So I think, yes. So it's like, don't try to the lead your game where you just only want to go. It's like, I think the more important thing is try to think how you can keep your actual core players.
I love this. I think if for nothing else in this episode, like that gem of wisdom, I think is so profound. And I think that's something that, is, people are going to say, yeah, it makes sense, but it is so easy to forget that when you're like in the trenches. And so keeping that at the high level of what do my players actually want to do in here? I love that. Oh, Chris, this has been so good. I really hope maybe we can have you back sometime for a panel or another episode or whatnot. If people do want to get a hold of you in any way, what's the best way for them to do that?
Sorry, again, please.
If people do have questions or follow-ups afterwards, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Yeah. I don't know. Usually how theaters do. Maybe the email or something like that.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, thank you so much. This has been a delightful episode, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was really enjoyable. Yeah, it was really nice. Yeah, have a nice day.
Cool. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye-bye.